Let the people of this nation hear what has been whispered in closed rooms and behind digital filings. Let the truth ring through every corridor of power, every newsroom, every dinner table that still believes in fairness, integrity, and justice. Because what we face is not just a question of ethics, it is a question of trust. In the early months of a fragile year, while the world held its breath at the edge of an economic storm, a series of moves were made, not on the floor of Congress, not in diplomatic rooms, but on trading floors and brokerage apps. Moves made by those sworn to serve the American people. Moves made not in ignorance, but with precision. As President Donald Trump prepared to unleash sweeping tariffs that would send shockwaves through global markets, members of his own administration, cabinet-level officials, deputies, and senior White House strategists began to sell. Yes, they sold. They unloaded stocks and funds with a sharpness that suggested more than coincidence. According to public forms, their trades clustered like a storm on the horizon, specifically around two dates, February 13 and April 2. And while the public waited, unaware of what was coming, they acted. These officials knew what the president would say. They knew what Wall Street would feel. They knew what global investors would do. And they positioned themselves. Between January 20 and April 30, of all the trades disclosed by 20 top Trump officials, 90% happened within just 10 days of the tariff announcements. That's not a pattern. That's a message. A message that when power meets opportunity, it doesn't always serve the public. Sometimes it serves the portfolio. February 13 came, and markets shrugged. But then came April 2, and the floor fell out. The markets trembled. Stocks plummeted. Retirement accounts shivered. Average Americans, who didn't have insider briefings, who didn't sit in policy meetings, watched their savings burn. But those who sold early, they were safe. Their losses were limited. Their timing was impeccable. And when Trump paused the tariffs on April 9, the markets rebounded. The S&P 500 was up 7.5% for the year by July 21. Good news for America. Even better news for those who knew when to jump ship and when to climb back aboard. But for the rest of us, it's not just troubling, it's enraging. Because this isn't just about profit, it's about principle. When public officials appear to use private information for personal gain, the very foundation of democracy shudders. This is not a game. This is not monopoly. This is not Wall Street. This is public service. And when public service turns into private enrichment, we all lose. Dylan Hetler-Godet of the Project on Government Oversight said it best. It is concerning, it begs the question of whether these public officials knew something that informed their trading. Let that settle. Let it sting. Because if they did, if they used inside knowledge to protect themselves while leaving the American public exposed, then we are not looking at a lapse in ethics. We are staring down the barrel of corruption. And yet, silence. No grand Justice Department inquiry. No headlines dominating the evening news. No congressional hearings with flashing cameras and pounding gavels. Why? Because accountability is easy when it targets the powerless. But when the powerful play the game, the rules bend, the lights dim, and the outrage fades. We've seen this before. Elected officials trading before pandemics were declared. Lawmakers dumping stocks just as chaos began. And always, a shrug, a statement, a reminder that they followed the rules. But what good are rules if they allow the few to win while the many suffer? What good is disclosure if nothing follows? What good is democracy if information is weaponized against the people it's meant to serve? We need more than forms. We need justice. We need a system where public office is not a shortcut to private wealth. We need transparency not just in paper, but in principle. We need to believe again that those who lead us are not gaming the system behind the scenes. Because if we can't trust them with our economy, how can we trust them with our future? Let every American ask themselves, who is this government truly serving? The answer will not be found in press releases or profit margins. It will be found in the courage to demand better. To ask hard questions. To demand full investigations. To expect that those who hold the power of the people also bear its weight. So let the files be open. Let the trades be reviewed. Let no name be protected. Let no title shield the truth. And if wrongdoing is found, let there be consequences, not just for headlines, but for history. Because if we do nothing, we send a signal to every future official that the people are watching, but they're not willing to act. And that, my friends, is the death of accountability. It is the end of integrity. It is the quiet surrender of democracy. But if we rise now, if we demand that those who knew better do better, then perhaps this time, the lesson will stick. Perhaps this time, public service will mean just that. And not just another name on another form in another forgotten archive of betrayal.